going to work on coming up with a simple explanation to answer the question, what is plastic? So our goal here over the next couple minutes is to really figure out what plastic is. I know, you're thinking, God, that is a really silly question, Miss Mayer. Of course we know what plastic is. We're surrounded by plastic. We use it every single day, at home, at school, outside, when we're playing. So of course we know what it is, right? So if you think about that, it might be a little harder than you think to actually define what plastic is. So let's go ahead and let's take a look today at some different kind of the main characteristics of plastics. So first of all, plastics are just a group of materials. They can be shaped when they're soft and they can be hardened to keep their shape. They can be either man-made, which is also called synthetic, or they can be naturally occurring. And they're made of something called polymers, which is a big word alert. So let's go ahead and let's break down what we mean by these different things here. So first characteristic is that it's just a group of materials. So everything that we call a plastic is a plastic because they just share some common characteristics, the different items. So every single plastic out there, so everything we put in that plastic category can be shaped when it's soft and hardened to keep its shape. So this is what we call a hallmark characteristic. So it's like the main characteristic of plastics. Just a little fun fact here, the word plastic actually comes from the Latin word plasticus, which means being able to be molded. So right back up here to our main characteristic that they can be shaped when they're soft and hardened to keep their shape. So, like I said a little bit ago, plastics can either be man-made or natural. So let's start off with some man-made plastics because these are the plastics that we're like really familiar with, right? Because we use them every day. So another way of saying man-made is to say synthetic. So PET is a pretty common man-made plastic out there. PET is what makes up things like grocery shopping bags. PVC is another synthetic plastic. So we're going to find PVC making up things like pipes and then like the packaging that a lot of our food comes in. And then another plastic that's synthetic, man-made, that you're probably pretty familiar with is polystyrene, which is we also call styrofoam. So like what you might put hot chocolate in or what you might get some like takeout food from a restaurant in. So those are kind of some of the main man-made plastics that are out there. So now let's take a peek at some natural plastics because these are things that maybe we're not so familiar with. So it turns out that horns on many animals are considered plastics. If they are softened, they can be shaped and then hardened and remolded. Tortoiseshell is also considered a plastic because it has that same moldable quality. Amber, which is basically fossilized tree sap. If you've ever seen the movie Jurassic Park where they pull the blood out of the mosquito, that's coming from amber. So amber is considered a natural plastic. And then finally, latex, which comes from the rubber tree, which is a little bit like sap, is also considered a natural plastic. Lastly, plastics are made up of these things called polymers. So that was that big word alert from earlier on. So polymer is kind of this weird word, but basically it just means a substance that has lots of different repeating units. So let's take a look at this diagram here. So if you have one small molecule by itself, and these little purple dots are just representing small molecules, this is what's called a monomer. And basically to get a polymer, all of these monomers just have to get attached to one another in a long chain. So basically, we usually say things are polymers if you have 1,000 or more of these monomers attached together. And we can get these polymers both naturally, they can occur naturally in nature, but we can also add our human touch to it and kind of force molecules to join together through chemical processes. So we're coming to the end of our time together here. So let's kind of cover and go over what we just learned about what actually is plastic. So again, it's just this group of materials that can all be shaped when they're soft and then hardened to keep their shape. They can be synthetic, which is man-made, or they can be natural, and they are made of polymers.